welcome back to another episode of On the Mic, man. We have another great episode lined up, but first, tonight's episode is brought to you by Bruiser Baits. Fish the best with Bruiser Baits. Make sure to check them out at www.bruiserbaits.com. And Spear Point Performance Hooks. Fish get pegged, but they won't come off. Check Spear Point Performance Hooks out at spearpointhooks.com. Again, that's www.spearpointhooks.com. Man, we have a great show lined up. Tonight's guest joining us on the mic is JT Thompkins, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. TJ Thompkins is going to be joining us on the mic tonight. It's going to be a fun show that you don't want to miss, so stay tuned. And without further ado, let's jump right into this week's episode of On the Mic with TJ Thompkins. All right, we are on the mic with Bassmaster Elite Series angler JT Thompkins. What's going on, brother? How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing super good. How are you doing?
Not bad at all, man. We're going to get this thing rolling, man. What's your off season like? What are your hobbies, besides fishing, that is you like to play golf. So what's your off season like, and how much golf do you actually play during the off season? Because we know once the season starts up, you probably don't get that much time to be able to hit the golf course.
Yeah, absolutely. So my off season kind of just started, actually. I was up at La Crosse I stayed there about an extra month just to kind of learn the place. I know it's a place we're going to be going to, so spent a lot of it fishing. I just got home, and now it's right now I'm in the stage of breaking everything down, taking the camper apart, and unloading the boat, unloading the camper, and get everything organized and cleaned up. And right now it's just tidying up time. But
right.
As the off season progresses, I used to play a ton of golf because I had a couple friends that did, but now I really don't as much as I used to. I would love to. I just don't get to. But I still play like a few rounds. It's not something I really do. It's not something I take super seriously.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm progressively getting more serious about is duck hunting. So.
Oh, wow. Well, good deal, man. How good did you play golf in high school, on a high school team or college or?
No, it wasn't nothing like that. It was just something I enjoyed. It was just a really good pastime for when I wasn't fishing. And it was just something that I could go do, and I didn't, because I feel like most of the things I do it very competitively. Yeah. I tried my best, and golf was one of those things that I was bad enough at that I didn't really care. So I was able to go out there and have some stress-free fun, and not really have to worry about trying to be good at something. And that was what I enjoyed about it. It was something I didn't have to take seriously, and it was something I could go out and do with friends, and didn't even have the competitiveness even on my mind.
Yeah. Now, you said you were pre-practicing at La Crosse for a little bit. How much pre-practicing do you actually do before Lakes on the schedule goes off limits? Do you get a chance to pre-practice much, or?
So, I try to pre-practice all of them. It depends on how much I get to pre-practice. Just depends on my schedule, but I always like to at least get 3 to 7 days on a lake before I fish it in a Bassmaster Elite Series tournament for sure. Yeah.
Now, if you weren't living your dream as a professional bass fisherman, what would JT Thompkins be doing if you weren't a pro bass fisherman?
Man, that's such a hard one because I really don't know. Me and my dad, he used to own a business, and then we got into real estate, and we started doing some real estate stuff. So I'd probably do something with real estate, or I've always wanted to open up my own like truck part shop. So I really have I love working on trucks.
Right.
I love doing things with trucks, whether it be lifting them, motor mods, just all sorts of stuff like that. So I'd probably get into something along those lines, especially in the Carolinas where I live. It's a very popular thing to have nice trucks.
Yeah.
So I'd probably step into something like that, but I don't really know. That's a tough one for
me. Now, you mentioned your dad, Timmy Thompkins. Now, Timmy's a pretty darn good fisherman as well, dude. Now, if all of our viewers that don't know, Timmy Thompkins was a professional bass fisherman from 2010 to 2022, and he actually has 10 top 10s out of 90 events fished in the FLW series between 2002 and 2022. But what is the best advice that your dad has ever given you?
The number one piece of advice that he gave me that has taken me further than any other piece of advice I think you can give anybody from anyone is outwork the person next to you. Doesn't matter who it is, where you're at, how many people you're around. If you outwork everyone around you, it will show.
Yes.
Excellence is built when you're doing something no one else wants to do. That's when it's built.
That is awesome.
And
yep.
I think that's one of the most important things I've ever learned is when you're going and doing something that no one else wants to do, that is when you're learning. You could fish your entire life 8 hours a day, get up late, get off the water early, and you'll never be good.
Yeah.
Some people. Just because everybody could do that. It's that hour or the 30 minutes before daylight, the 30 minutes after daylight, that's where the big jumps in skill level get, is because everyone's out there fishing. The thing is, bass fishing is growing so fast, everyone's improving. You have to improve faster.
Yeah.
So you can become, people see it as, I'm a better fisherman, but I'm not doing as good. I don't understand. Well, everybody else is getting better too.
Yeah.
You have to be working when people are sleeping.
Yeah.
And I think that's the number one, thing in life. It doesn't matter if it's fishing, if it's golf. You just have to be doing what other people aren't willing to do.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That is a great piece of advice from your dad. And you always hear it mentioned, like if you're a football fan, you always hear it mentioned, like in NFL football, the best guys on the field is the first ones to show up at the facilities, the last ones to leave. And as a professional bass fisherman, it's no different. The more time you can spend on the water, the guys that are putting their time in, putting more work in, spending more time on the water is the guys that's going to succeed over the other guys that just thinks they're going to breeze through and not put the work in like the others. So that is awesome, dude. That is a real piece of great advice, man. Want to fast forward to your rookie season. You actually had one of the best rookie seasons we ever seen. I mean, you had 6 top 30s out of 9 events fishing your rookie season, including a 2nd, 3rd, and an 8th place finish. Most years, that would have gave you a Rookie of the Year, man. Unfortunately, a pesky dude in your same rookie class named Trey McKinney was also there, having one of the best seasons we've ever seen. But with that being said, man, the differences between coming from the Opens and going into the Elites, what was the main differences between stepping up to the Elites versus what you were doing when you were in the Opens?
So one thing I've learned recently is, I've had to kind of, it's funny, I've had to switch the way I fish completely for the Elite Series. And I'm still slowly getting back at my rhythm. Like I had a pretty rough year this year, and then it ended really good. And what I've learned is the way I fished in the Opens was, pressure makes fish do certain things, and I learned that. Mm-hmm. I learned how pressure makes fish. If you get around a really good area that has a big population of fish, like a community hole, in the Opens, if you go around it, you can pick off fish that are pressured and kind of pull off these main areas. Mm-hmm. And what I was really good at was having a bunch of isolated pieces of structure with like 1 or 2 fish on them and running 20 and 30 of them a day, and always having good tournaments. And you could scramble really good in the Opens and always have okay bags and do really good consistently because there's so many boats and it's hard to just smash them. To where in the Elites, you have 100 boats, you have to be on the juice, and you have to catch big bags. So the way I used to fish with fishing a lot of different isolated pieces of cover around areas, like it doesn't work as good, fishing for stragglers, which is what I felt like I was really good at. I was good at finding fish no one else could find. To where now, you have to fish community holes because that's where the biggest and the most fish are at, because the elite guys are going to catch them every single time, every single day, and they're going to put big bags in the boat, and you can't catch big bags off stuff that's sneaky like that usually. Right. So it's more or less getting around the boats and trying to outfish them, and that's why I think certain anglers do super good. And it's just a thing that I've had to kind of take a step back and learn a little more. Is just learn to put my boats in the best areas in the lake, around the most boats, and then just rotate until you run into them. And because I just don't like fishing in a lot of boats, and I was able to not do that in the opens because the weights are just on average a lot lower.
Right.
And I can always make it work. But the elites is different, and that's one thing I've had to learn is you got to catch them. You got to catch big bags every single day.
Exactly, man. You always hear the old this saying kicked around when it comes to professional sports. Welcome to the league moments. Like you hear, welcome to the NFL moments for rookies. Did you have a welcome to the Elite Series moment in your rookie year?
Yeah, my first tournament. It was my worst finish at St. John's ever, and I remember going there, and everyone was talking about how tough it was. Cold fronts. Every condition was stacked against us. It was the worst condition you could ever do in Florida. And they still caught big bags. Like, they don't screw up.
Right.
Like, to where in the opens, if it's tough, you can kind of see it in the standings. You can see it drop a pound. To where the elites, they're just going to catch them no matter what. And that was, like, the tournament that I fished for a certain type of fish, and they left. And all the other people fishing for other ones, they still caught them. And the guys, they're so experienced, they know how to adjust.
Right.
And they know how to always scramble out that really good bag that you didn't always have to catch in the opens. And I remember seeing that was like, you really cannot mess up at all, or they will beat you to death.
Yeah.
And that was just such an interesting thing, seeing is how overall how consistent the field is, because how stacked it is from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Every single 100 guys presented with the right tournament can win.
Right.
And you just don't have that in the opens. You have 40 guys who can win in the opens. In the elites, you have 100.
Yeah.
And yes, you have locals, and the opens I do think is almost a more difficult trail to consistently cut checks in. But you do have to catch them better in the Elite Series, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Now this year you qualified for your third classic. And you're actually going back to Knoxville, where you competed in your first classic actually a few years ago.
Yes, sir.
And everybody talks about it on the Elite Series. You try to make Classic Week kind of the norm. You try to make it normal, just like any other event. But we all know, dude, the Classic, once you get there, is not any other event. There's so much other stuff happening for the anglers that you just don't get during a regular season event going on. But what lessons could you take out of your first two classics and bring into Knoxville again this year, going into your third?
Yeah. Gosh, I made different mistakes in both ones. Knoxville, I actually had a really good tournament for what I found. I didn't fish for the right fish. I didn't fish for the winning fish.
Yeah.
And that was one thing you have to do in the Classic. You have to fish for winning fish.
Yeah.
And I tried to do that at me and Trey. We share everything. We share waypoints. We share information. Everything. Like, me and him are 100%. And he finished second in that Classic, and I did. I had a really good second day, but my first day, I found a really good area, and the wind was blowing 4 and 5 footers in there, and I tried to make it work, knowing that if I got 5 bites, it would get 25 plus pounds.
Right.
And second day, Trey ended up having a really good day off of it, but I zeroed the first day, so I kind of let him have free range of almost everything. And day 2, I went to a different area that was protected, and I was like, you know what, I already zeroed, there's no chance to win, let's just go learn. And I went to an area that was protected that first day that I should have went to. Even in my mind, it popped in my mind multiple times, and I caught 18 pounds pretty easily in only a few hours. And I know I could have caught a probably 20 plus pound bag out of there the first day, and then I could have branched off when it got calmer later in the week. But it's just you have to be on your game. You have to be making the right decisions, and you have to have a really good week. And fishing for winning fish, they can burn you a lot easier than fishing for checks.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me.
Yeah, and the old saying with the Bassmaster Classic is, other events through the year, your regular season events, a second place is a great finish. Third place, anytime you make the top 10, great finish for you. The Classic, there's only one place, and that's in the number one position. That's the only tournament through your season that you're going for the win and nothing else. But the 2026 schedule was released, man. When the schedule got released and you first seen the next year's schedule, what was the first thing that stood out to you with this year's schedule coming up?
I'm looking forward to Murray. That's a place where I had a third place finish there last time, and I had a bunch of missed opportunities in that tournament, and I feel like that tournament could have went a lot better. And I'm looking forward to get out there, And funny thing is, a lot of people think I should be excited for Santee, but I don't even have a waypoint on Santee. I don't know nothing about it. I fished a few high school tournaments there, but when I go there, I don't have a trail. I don't have a waypoint. Nothing. I won't have a single drop of anything there because I haven't been there in 6 years, and my dad spent a lot of time there, but I haven't. So it's going to be going to a new lake. I understand where the areas are, but it's going to be a new lake to me.
Yeah.
So kind of nervous about that one actually.
Piece of advice
for Champlainer. I'm excited for Champlain as well.
Right,
No live scope there. I think I'm excited because I've spent a lot of time there when I didn't have live scope and learned how to fish that place without it. And I think a lot of the elite guys are going to be very good there.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very hard for them to do good in without live scope because those guys have been there without live scope so many times in the past.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to St. Lawrence, Champlain, Murray, and then I think Tom Bigby's going to be really good for me as well.
Yeah. Piece of advice I was going to say, piece of advice for Santee Cooper, just follow Patrick Walters around all day.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, you'd mentioned Santee Cooper. Is that the least of your favorites to go to, or do you have another one that you're the least not looking forward to?
No, I genuinely really do like Santee when I used to fish it. It's just I'm kind of nervous about it because there's been a lot of tournaments there. So these elite guys they're going to know where to go, what to do at a very high level to where I'm going to kind of be behind the 8 ball and I'm going to catch up. My least favorite one, it's going to sound crazy, but Gunnersville.
Really?
I've really struggled there for some reason when I've went there. I've always struggled with the ledge bite there.
Right.
I've never understood it. Now, when I've caught them chatterbaiting grass, punching, I've actually won a handful of Thursday nighters and stuff.
Yeah.
When I went there about 3 years ago and spent about a couple weeks there, I won a bunch of tournaments there fishing grass. So without live scope, it could work in my favor. I feel like I'm a lot better no live scope fisherman than I am a live scope fisherman. Right. A lot of my best tournaments in the Elite Series are tournaments without live scope. Red River was a good one for me. Mississippi River was a good one for me this year. And I feel confident in my ability, especially growing up on probably the shallowest water fishery in the country, Winyah Bay. So I feel like I'm excited for the no scope next year. Yeah. And I feel like the schedule turned out not too bad, and I'm excited to get started.
That's awesome, man. I want to talk real quick about the no information rule. Now, we're talking about that rule. That is an angler voted on rule. But in turn, that rule is probably one of the most difficult rules for a professional angler to navigate. You're driving around in a first of all, you pull up at a gas station or any public place, everybody wants to come over and start talking. And 100%. And when I'm talking about the most difficult rule to navigate, you have to be on your toes 95% or 100% of the time when you're talking to fans or people that just want to come up and talk to you, and listen real good, because you have to shut them down immediately when they say even say a lake. You got to stop them before they start. So a really difficult rule to navigate. So it's easy to get caught up in a rule violation, and over the past couple of years we've seen that, which it's not intentional, it's just something that happens on a day-to-day basis being a professional angler and what you guys got to deal with. So do you see, or in your opinion, is there any way that Bass might be able to tweak that rule to make it a little bit harder to be caught up in a difficult situation like that? I know it's a good rule, but is there any way you think it could be tweaked where it's not as easy to be caught up in that situation, like we've seen over the past couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. I think the interesting thing is right now, people don't realize how easy these polygraphs are to fail. Is all these guys that are failing now, they're getting 6, 7, 8 tries at a polygraph before they actually get a failing score. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot better than last year. To where I only got one chance. I only got one polygraph, and it was inconclusive. And that's what they went with, and I never got an appeal or nothing like that. But now they at least have appeal process. They put it in front of boards, and it's done a lot more properly than it was before. And we've seen a lot of corrections. Like, we've seen a lot of people fail their post polygraphs this year, and then pass a later one. And I think a bunch of people this year failed their first polygraph and then ended up passing later ones once they presented it with a board and actually got it under the right conditions. So I think they've been able to fix a lot of different polygraphs this year, and I think they've done a good job. But also, I still think that the rule's difficult to navigate because this is a fan sport. Without the fans, we're nothing.
Yeah. And
whenever Bassmaster takes away the ability for us to communicate with fans, it's going to kill the sport.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be really tough for it to keep going like this. But I think a possible rule that can go, and this is not perfect. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be loopholes and everything. That's just the way life is. Nothing's ever really perfect. But make a rule that says don't pay or barter for information.
Yeah,
is a very good start. We all have friends, and that's just part of life. It's hard to cut off entire family. Like, I haven't talked to my dad in 2 years about fishing.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a really good way to go about it. But like I said, I don't know. That's up to Bass to make decisions and me to follow them.
Exactly. Do you have any superstitions?
Superstitions? No, I'm not a very superstitious person.
Oh man, okay.
I'm a very cut and dry person. If I catch them, I catch them. If I don't, it's my fault. If I do, it's my fault. And you just gotta do your best to catch them every single day.
There you go. So if you do good in the first term of the year, you're not wearing the same underwear all year long, then, huh?
Absolutely not. I think for some reason, it's not even like I don't mean it to be a superstition, but I have bombed the first tournament every single year of my fishing career. Every single year, my first tournament has been worse than the 70th.
Right.
And I don't know how to stop it. So.
Oh man, your social media, man. If anybody that's viewing or watching us right now wants to follow you, that might not already be following you on social media, your social media platforms, where could they look you up, and how could people follow you?
Yeah, so it's pretty much JT Thompkins Fishing on almost every platform. I have Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, pretty much everything. I video all my tournaments. I have 3 YouTube videos going up a week, whether it be shorts or long term, and I have a lot of different forms of content that you can watch. And we should have the St. Clair video coming up soon, and my Lake Fort video where I had 121 pounds over 4 days and had a really good tournament. That one's already up, and it's very entertaining stuff, and I'd love for people to go watch it.
Awesome, man. Awesome, JT. Oh man, I appreciate you coming on, spending a few minutes with us on the mic this morning, man. I know your off season is precious, and you try to spend as much time as you can with family and just having fun before the season starts up again, man. Looking forward to catching back up with you Media Day in Knoxville come this March, dude. But anyway, man, we appreciate it as always, JT, and once again, thanks for coming on, and we appreciate it, brother. And we can't wait to see you in Knoxville as well, and knocking them dead out there on the Tennessee River in Knoxville, dude.
Yep, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks, JT. Bye now.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of On the Mic. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Norman Lee Fishing. This has been an NLF production.